What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a new video with me, the Angry Trainer. In this video we're taking a look at Perrserker in the Great League Remix Cup. So I've been wanting to use Perrserker in Ultra League for a while. Oh, don't worry about that. But it seems to be ranked quite good in the Remix Cup, so I thought I'd give it a shot. It's definitely one of my favourite Cantonian evolutions. I just think it looks really cool. I've got one that's got really good IVs for Great League. It's ranked about 280, I think. I think it's 8, 14, 15 of the IVs. We're running it with the standard moveset, which is Shadow Claw, Close Combat, and Foul Play. But yeah, once again, I'm a really big fan of this Pokemon. I'm really excited to use it. I think the design on it is excellent. It really reminds me of a Critter, if you've ever seen that film. A bit of an obscure reference, but yeah, one for all you geeks out there. So I'm going to be running it with Machamp in the lead, Shadow Machamp, and I was excited to build this as well because it's a rank 2 Shadow Machamp, so should hopefully be a beast. So I'll be running this obviously with Counter, Cross Chop, and Rock Slide as the moves. So these two are quite a good pair in Perrserker and Shadow Machamp. Machamp doesn't want to see Psychic, Flying, or any Fairy types, and Perrserker resists all of them. And then we're going to have Mantine on the safe swap, so that's covering the flying, fighting, and ground weaknesses. Pretty decent IVs there. We're running the standard moveset, Bubble, Bubble Beam, and Ice Beam. I think this Pokemon's got a lot of play in the current meta. So getting into the first battle against Rodri MC9, we've got Jumpluff on the lead, so not particularly great for the Machamp, though we can hit it for super effective with the Rock Slide. So we're going to build straight up to the Rock Slide and just go for it. We're not going to muck about with baiting just in case they do let it go through. Jumpluff is fairly tanky, but this will do a lot of damage, so they do shield it up. And now they're going to throw a move, and we were able to sneak through a counter there, so that's really good for us. We're going to let this go through because we know we can survive an aerial ace just about, and we're just hanging on. We get to the Rock Slide, the IVs of the Machamp coming into play there straight away. So we throw the Rock Slide, and I'm expecting them to let this go through, and they do. So we won the switch there against the Flying type, so really good, and they come in with a Dugong, so that's great. We come in with the Perrserker as it's resisting the ice moves, and they swap into a Stunfisk, the Unova Stunfisk. And this is kind of a core breaker for the team because it does beat both Mantine and Perrserker. But luckily we do have a shield advantage, so what we'll be able to do is debuff it with the bubble beams, and then we should be able to take it out with a combination of the Mantine and the Perrserker. As you can see, the bubble and bubble beam damage doing pretty good against it. We need to get it into the yellow. We are double weak to electric because of the flying and the water typing, but luckily Mantine's quite a tank, and Unova Stunfisk doesn't hit that hard, so once we debuffed them once, we were able to comfortably take a discharge. They choose to use the shield there just in case we were going to use the Ice Beam, I guess. They know they need to keep the Stunfisk alive to go against the Perrserker. Luckily we were able to debuff them again, so we're probably going to just let this go through now. And then we'll come in with the Perrserker and farm up as much as we can. They make a good call when they swap out into the Dugong, just so they can clear all the debuffs on the Stunfisk. And now they're going to throw Icy Winds, and we know we can let this go through. They could have hit us with a Water Pulse, but I think maybe they were worried they weren't going to even get to a move if we took them out with Close Combat. So they go for the debuff anyway, and you can see the Close Combat doesn't take them out. Because we're not getting stabbed, as we're not a fighting type, it doesn't do as much damage as it would usually. Now we get a lot of lag here. We did go to the Foul Play. We built up as much as we could. We could have actually just played this a lot safer and built up a lot more energy. But luckily we are able to get to the Foul Play before the Stunfisk can get to a Mud Bomb. And that's going to be a good first game there. So we lost the lead and we were able to come back. Though to be honest, no flying types want to see Machamp as they're all going to get one-shotted by a Rock Slide, so it's quite funny. But into the next game, we've got the Stunfisk on the lead, which is really good. We don't want to see it with the other Pokemon, and they swap into the Noctowl. So we're going to come straight in with the Mantine, and this is a pretty decent matchup for Mantine. Obviously, we've got the Ice Beam to threaten the flying types with there. So they go for the Sky Attack, which we can easily let go through, and we're just going to go straight for the Ice Beam here. We're obviously not going to bother with the Bubble. They're probably going to let this go through as it's not going to KO them, so that's not too bad. And then we're going to go for the Bubble now. Once we've debuffed them, we should be able to survive a Sky Attack, I imagine. So we might be able to farm them down here, so we're looking to do that, it looks like. And we're definitely going to let this go through. I'm sure we can survive it. Like I say, Mantine is pretty tanky, and I think is really, really good in the current meta. It's a bit of a sleeper pick. So see what they want to come in with now. We've won the swap, which is quite good. Still in even shields. And they come back in with the Stunfisk. So this is fine, because we can just debuff them now with the Bubble Beam. And then we're going to be able to come back in with the Machamp. So see what they're going to do. Oh, they make a swap into Shadow Golbat, so that's great. So we're going to bring the Perrserker as we're resisting the flying and the poison type moves. We'll go for a Foul Play, expecting they're going to shield this up. They're probably going to double shield the Golbat because they want to take out the Machamp with it. Now they're built up to a Shadow Ball, so we're going to have to call if this is a bait here. And we do call that it's a Poison Fang, so really good call by us. And now we're going to build up to another Foul Play. We are going to have to shield this up. As you can see, the accumulated damage is really taking its toll on us. So we're going to build up to 2 more Foul Plays. We're definitely going to have to commit both our shields here, as we're not going to be able to counter down the Golbat, and we don't want them to start debuffing us. They do a ton of damage to us. So we're going to build up as much energy as we can, get 2 Foul Plays in. We're counting their energy, and we throw it, and they don't shield it up. So now we've got a Close Combat ready to go against the Stunfisk. see if they want to shield this one up. It's not going to do all of the health, but they do shield it up. It would have done a lot of damage, and luckily we do have the Machamp in the back. It will be able to take a Mud Bomb, and hopefully we can get up to the 2 cross chops. So we throw the first one, getting them into the red, and then we are able to sneak through a counter, so that's just probably going to seal the victory there. As discharge, it's not going to be enough to take us out. So we get to a cross chop, and we're going to be able to take the win there. Didn't even hit any of the bubbles because it's going to do enough to take them out. So GG's to my opponent, and that's a nice battle. So into the next one, and we're up against Cello Lisboa. So let's see what we've got for the lead. It's a Pidgeot, so not great for the Machamp. Gus is going to absolutely destroy it, so we swap straight into the Mantine, and then make a swap into Zweilous. So this isn't actually that bad for us. Although they're resisting the water moves, we're going to be able to do a lot of damage with the Ice Beam. So what we do is we do throw a shield here just to make sure that they can't Dragon Breath us down here easy in this matchup. We want to actually put the pressure on. We want to get 2 shields out of them at least. So we do get the first shield. That's really, really good. And likely we might actually go for a bait here. So we're probably going to commit our second shield. And then we're going to go for a bait just to pressure them into using the second shield, and hopefully we can get to an Ice Beam. So we throw the Bubble Beam, and they do commit the shield, so that's really good. Now, can we get to the Ice Beam? They are doing a lot of damage with the Dragon Breath, and they throw their energy just as we get to the Ice Beam. So it's not too bad, as we've managed to debuff them. And we're just going to bring in the Machamp now and farm them down all the way. So if they come back in with the Pidgeot, we should be able to like pretty much one-shot them with the Rock Slide. So expecting they probably will bring someone else in. Now they do come in with the Pidgeot, and they tried to do a catch. They tried to quickly swap into Empoleon. So we'd throw the Rock Slide, and then it would have been not very effective against the Steel type and Empoleon. But luckily we called that there, and we were able to build up more energy, take out the Empoleon with a cross chop, and now we're able to throw the Rock Slide against the Pidgeot anyway. Doesn't quite KO, but we come in with a Perrserker, just to Shadow Claw it down for a laugh, and the opponent backs out. So unfortunate for them, but anyway, into the next one. I love the trainer name, gulping it down, so that made me laugh. So we've got Piloswine on the lead, which is a little bit spicy, not used to that, so they swap out into Pelipper, that's a terrible lead for them, and we're bringing the Mantine. So this is pretty decent for us. We're going to be able to hit them from neutral with the Ice Beam, and they're going to have to build up to a Hurricane to threaten us, as the Weather Balls are going to be resisted. So they are building up to the Hurricane, and we just throw an Ice Beam, so this will probably do a lot of damage to us if we let it go through, and we do. I think I kind of just wanted to see how much damage that would do, to be honest. Unfortunately, they're able to get up to another Weather Ball as well, so they're just going to take us out. We're just going to let this go through, and then we're going to come in with the Perrserker, and we're just going to farm up a lot of energy. Not sure if I'm going to shield this one up just to preserve some health. We might let it go through, as we know we can survive. We do let it go through, and then we're going to just farm them down the whole way. So we've got an absolute ton of energy for whatever comes in. It is the Piloswine that comes in, so they obviously don't want this to be matched up against the Machamp, so they bring it in now, but it doesn't really have a good match up against the Perrserker either. We go for the foul plays. We don't want to debuff ourselves with the close combat, and they go for an Avalanche, which would obviously still take us out. And we're building up a load of energy, and they bring in a Noctowl, so now we're going to go for the close combat. We want to threaten this last shield, so that the Machamp can easily sweep up. So as you can see, it didn't even do half of the health of the Noctowl. Noctowl's fairly tanky, but where we're not getting stabbed from Perrserker in the close combat, it shows it's not doing as much damage as like a fighting type would. But now we're going to bring in the Machamp. So we're going to build up to 2 cross chops here. We go 1 counter away from it. So we're going to take out the Noctowl with its first cross chop, and then we should be able to get to the next one and take out the Piloswine. So yeah, even though we lost the secondary matchup there, it actually worked out in our favour because we was able to farm down the whole way with the Perrserker. And Perrserker with energy is really dangerous, as you can see. So into the next battle, let's see what we've got in the lead. We've got Dragalge. Oh, this battle is insane. This is the craziest battle I've had so far this season. Maybe one of the craziest battles I've ever had. So it's a really bad lead for the Machamp. So we swapped out into Mantine, and they go into a Lola Mola. So it's a really interesting battle here. Go and get yourself some popcorn, because you're going to be here for a while. This is going to be crazy. This is probably going to be one of the longest matchups there's ever been. I'm not sure if there's any other matchup that takes as long as this, but we're going to debuff the Alola Mola by 4 stages, so that the Psychic and the Waterfalls are not doing much damage at all. You can already see that the Psychic didn't do that much damage. Alola Mola is quite a defensive Pokemon, so the attack's not doing too much, and now we're debuffing them even more. It's doing virtually nothing. So we've debuffed them by 3 stages here, and we get to the Bubble Beam. So the Alola Mola is going to be completely debuffed by 4 stages. So they're doing, look at the amount of damage their Waterfalls are doing, they're doing virtually nothing. So now that we've debuffed them 4 times, you can't actually debuff or buff your attack more than 4 times, so we're going to now start going for the Ice Beams. So we throw the first Ice Beam, it's still not going to do a lot of damage at all. We're not even getting stabbed from that move, and the Alola Mola is massively thick. So we get to another Ice Beam, and as you can see though, the Waterfalls are still just not doing any damage to us at all. This is a titanic struggle of 2 marine animals. So they do throw their energy, which is good. We would have got to another move and taken them out. So all of that, and it just goes back to square one. We've got the Machamp against the Dragalge. So we're going to build up to a Rock Slide, it looks like. Big call here whether we're going to let this go through or not. We know we can survive, and luckily we do let it go through because they have a Politoed in the back, and if we'd have used that shield it would have been game over, because there's no way we're going to be able to survive a Weather Ball and the accumulated mud shot damage. So we're going to have to shield this up, and we're being really careful to throw our moves in line with their moves and not let a mud shot through, as it may be the end of the game if we do. So we're building up as much energy as we can, and we're going to go for the first foul play here, expecting them to commit both their shields as we will. We're looking in a really bad spot, to be honest. They've still got the Dragalge in the back, and we've not got that much health left on the Machamp. Luckily we have some loaded energy, so we go for the second foul play, and they do shield it up, and they're able to get to a Weather Ball. And is this going to take us out? It's going to do a lot of damage, as it is a Shadow Politoed. We do survive with a few HP, and we make a quick swap, and they actually swap into Dragalge at the same time, so hopefully this will take them out with the Rock Slide. They do survive it, so that's absolutely terrible. And then we've got such a small amount of health left on the Perrserker, but they survive with 1 HP, and we get to a close combat. That's absolutely insane. How the hell have we won this battle? Perrserker coming in completely clutch there, and that just blew my mind. I couldn't believe we actually managed to win that battle. GG's to my opponent. That was absolutely epic. So into the next battle, we've got knocked out on the lead, so not particularly great for the Machamp, but as we've seen before, we can hit with the Rock Slides, but we're just going to swap out this time, and they go into a Munchlax. So something a little bit different. You don't see Munchlax too often. It's not a bad pick though, to be honest. It's pretty much exactly the same as Snorlax, but you don't have the fighting coverage. But they're probably just going to hit us with Body Slams here. So I think what we're actually going to do is we're going to look to Bubble Beam them as much as we can, and then see if we can get to maybe an Ice Beam and take them out. So we're going for another Bubble Beam here. So we're going to debuff them by 2 stages. So we should be able to survive a Body Slam comfortably. So they do throw the Body Slam, and yeah, it doesn't do that much damage at all. We don't even bother going building up to the Ice Beam. We're just going to go for a Bubble Beam, which is interesting. I probably should have built up to the Ice Beam. Not that it would have taken them out anyway. So we're building up a little bit more. We've debuffed them by 3 stages, and they actually throw their energy. So that's quite interesting. That's decent for us, as now we can get even more farm. I think what we're going to do is come in with the Perrserker, and we're going to go for a really aggressive farm down with the Shadow Claws, because it's not doing any damage at all. We're going to build up so much energy. We're going to get to 100 energy for sure. Now they're going to throw a super effective Bulldoze, but they have been debuffed 3 times, so we do choose to let it go, but it still does quite a lot of damage because Perrserker isn't that tanky. And then we come in right at the end there just to make sure they don't get to another move. We bank all that energy on the Perrserker, and we come in with Machamp, and they come back in with a Noctowl. So this is fine because we're going to be able to threaten them. So we go for a cross shot bait, and they do take the bait. It's not really a bait because it's doing neutral, so it's going to do a lot of damage anyway, and we'll be able to cross chop them down. So we do shield up the Sky Attack just to make sure we can get to another move. We get to another cross chop, and this will probably be taking them out, and it does look like we might be able to get to another cross chop actually. And there you go. If you ever wanted an example of how IVs come into play, it just shows there the rank 2 Machamp able to get to a 3rd cross chop against a flying type. So it's absolutely brilliant. And they've got us wireless in the back, so we come in with the Perrserker, not a lot of health left, but we've got the close combat, and this is going to destroy the double-headed dinosaur. Goodbye, son, and that was a GG's to my opponent. Really good battle there. Another lost lead. We are able to pull off the win. So we're going to the next battle against Nurse Gen Rose, and we've got a Whiscash on the lead. So it's not too bad, as the Perrserker doesn't want to see this, and we should be able to take it out in the 1 shield scenario, I think. So they go for the Mud Bomb, and we're definitely going to let this go through, as we know we can survive it. We're going to build up a little bit more energy, and we're going to go for the Cross Chop. I'm expecting they might actually let this go through, so as they probably can survive it. They do let it go through, so what we're going to do now is probably just shield up and farm them down the whole way, and then we'll have energy for whatever they come in with. So they come in with a Frostlass, so we go for a Cross Chop bait, which is questionable, as I'm not sure if we're going to get to another move anyway, so we probably should have just gone for the Rock Slide, but luckily they did take the baits. That's really good, and we're coming with the Perrserker now, as we're going to be doing super effective with the Shadow Claws and the Foul Play against the Ghost typing, so they're definitely going to shield this up. They get to a move, and we've got to call whether it's the bait here. So we do put up a shield, and unfortunately it is an Avalanche. So it's good bait by my opponent, and it's probably going to allow them to win this matchup here. So they get to a move, and if it's a Shadow Ball, it's probably going to be taking us out. So it is the Shadow Ball, so it does take us out, but luckily we're able to come back in with something and farm down a bit more energy. So come in with the Mantine, and they make a swap into Registeel, so that's really, really good for the Mantine. We're going to be resisting the Flash Cannon as we're Water type, and we'll be resisting the Focus Blast as we're the Flying type. So we're just going to throw a ton of Bubble Beams here and debuff them, just to make sure they don't do any more damage with the move anyway. And I think what the play here is wait for them to throw their energy, and then make a quick swap into Machamp. As the lock-on does virtually no damage, we should be able to get to a move. So they throw the flash cannon, and we do make a swap into Machamp. So earlier on where I said we shouldn't have baited against the Frostlass, actually worked out perfectly for us because we was able to store a bit of health on the Machamp and do a lot of damage against the Registeel. May have been able to take it out with just a Mantine, but you never know. But we're able to counter down the Whiscash, and then we're able to counter down the Frostlass as well. So that's absolutely brilliant. Machamp coming in clutch with a little bit of health there at the end, and that was a good battle. So into the next battle. Let's see what we got in the lead. So we've got a Lantern, so a little bit different. Not really expecting that, but it's quite good for the Machamp, as we're definitely going to outpace them to the moves. And the counter's obviously doing a lot where it's neutral. They're bringing a Frostlass, so that's pretty questionable. So we go for the cross-chop bait, and they do shield it up, so that's really good. Now we're going to come in with the Perrserker, and even though they should probably outpace us to the moves, with the shield advantage, this will be a comfortable matchup for the little steel cat. So they do bait us with an Avalanche. They would have done a lot of damage anyway, so it's not too bad that we shielded that up. So we're going to go for another foul play now, and they do actually double shield, which is quite interesting, because surely they know that we're going to be able to farm them down now. So we do commit our second shield, just so we can leave the match with the switch advantage and a load of energy. So we did farm them down and see what they want to come in with, and they come in with a Lantern, so we're just going to go straight for the close combat, do a ton of damage, and then we'll hopefully be able to get to another move. But they did actually get to their move at the same time as us, so that's absolutely perfect, because they're going to take us out, and now we're just going to come back in with the Machamp, and they make an instant switch into Hypno, so they're doing absolute tons of damage to us with the confusions. We do go straight for the Rock Slide, and I imagine we're going to make a swap out into Mantine. Now obviously the Hypno is going to have access to Thunder Punch, which is going to be doing double super effective against us, and where they're the Shadow version, it's going to do a lot of damage. Luckily, we are able to survive that quite comfortably. We get to an Ice Beam just to make sure we're not going to go for the Bubble Beam, as I don't think that would have been enough to take them out. So we take them out, but they got the Lantern left, so that's not looking good because they're going to be able to farm us down. Are they going to be able to get to a move? We're coming with the Machamp, and we're just able to counter down with like 1 HP left. Another really tight battle, and it come right down to the wire again. Shadow Machamp coming in clutch once again. We've got Empoleon on the lead next, so that's a really great lead for us. So they swap into Dragalge, and we bring in our Mantine, as we're going to be able to threaten them with the Ice Beam. We're not going to go for the bait on this occasion, we're just going to throw it straight away just in case they let it go through. Dragalge should be able to take this. It's fairly thick in Great League, so it does take it quite comfortably. Not sure if they thought that we were going to bait them there, but we weren't mucking about. So they go for the Outrage, which we were expecting, as we did just take out most of their health. They probably weren't going to be able to get to another move. But they are actually able to get to an Aqua Tail, so they could have baited us there. So that's absolutely fine. We did win switch at the cost of a shield, so now we've got some energy to go for whatever they come back in with. And that's where Mantine is even more useful as a switch, because if you manage to win it and come out of energy, whatever comes back in, they're going to get instantly debuffed by the Mantine. So we did throw the Bubble Beam, and then we actually made a swap into Machamp. And I think the reason for this is that we know that we can actually take it out with the Perrserker. So we just wanted to get an energy lead, and we didn't want them to farm down. So they did make a swap into Noctowl. So that's actually fine. As much as they're doing super effective against us with the flying type, we've already seen that we could take them out with a Rock Slide. So we're going to go for the bait here, and hoping that they take this, because we're going to be in a bit of a bad spot if they don't. They do take it, so that's great. Can we get to another cross chop? Oh, unfortunately we can't. So we should have just gone for Rock Slide there, just in case, because if they hadn't have shielded that up, we would have been in such a bad way. So we come in with the Perrserker, and they throw a Shadow Ball, so that's doing a lot of damage to us. So we're farming up as much energy as we possibly can. So we get to the close combat, and then it's going to be a race to the move against the Empoleon. And they did do a few waterfalls, and they are doing a lot of damage, and we're just able to hang on once again and get to the close combat. This should be taking out the Empoleon for the win. And it does. So another close game there, another 1 HP ender. I really enjoyed that one. Into the next battle. So let's see what we got on the lead. So we've got a Shiftry, so that's really good for the Machamp. Expecting a swap, they swap into Pelipper. So we're going to go into our Mantine. We're a little bit slow on the swap there, but it should be alright. We just need to make sure we shield up the Hurricane. As we've seen already, the Hurricane's going to do a ton of damage. So we do correctly shield up the Hurricane, which is really, really good. Now we're going to hit them with an Ice Beam. And this should be doing about half of the health of the Pelipper. So they let it go through, and it does do a nice amount of damage, and we're able to get to the Bubble Beam. So we'll be able to debuff them here, and then if they hit us with a Hurricane, we should hopefully be able to survive it. We're getting the Pelipper quite low, and they're building up a lot of energy, so they're definitely looking to go for the Hurricane. We should be able to survive this easy, though, with the debuffs in place. So they did take us out, and then they make a swap into Stunfisk. So we're going to go for the Bubble Beam. We're going to lower their attack, and then make a swap out. And then we go into Perrserker, so it's a bit of a weird call, but I think what we was thinking is we just wanted to do some damage and threaten the shields before we come in with the Machamp, and then the Machamp can sweep up. So we let the Mud Bomb go through, as we know we can survive it, but they actually get to another Mud Bomb, so we're going to have to commit our shield here. Not sure if we actually had to commit the shield there, but we do. And then we're obviously going to go for the close combat. They are actually going to get to the move at the same time as us, I think, so that's not very good for us at all. They're going to be taking us out if they're throwing their energy, which they did. So we're going to be in a pretty bad spot here as we're down a shield and we've only really got the Machamp left. We might be able to pull off a swap into the Mantine at some point, which could actually decide the game. So we bring in the Machamp to get some more energy, and they try and make a swap into Pelipper, but we weren't going to throw our energy there, so that was really, really good for us. We got a little bit more farm. And now we make a swap into Mantine, and we actually pull it at the right time, so that was absolutely perfect. Waste all their energy, come in with the Machamp, do a few more counters, trying to get up to 100. Because we know we're going to have to get to 2 cross chops against the Shiftry, because one move by them is going to take us out. We've managed to get up enough energy. Throw the first cross chop, this will definitely be getting the shield out of them. And then we get to the second one and we're going to be able to take them out with one move. So it shows there how crucial it was, the energy management, just making sure I farmed up as much as possible in that last match up there with the stun fist, because Shiftry gets to its move so quickly, so if we hadn't farmed up that amount of energy, they could have just got to one move and taken us out. So GG's to my opponent, that was a really good battle. Into the next one, we've got another Pidgeot on the lead, so again, it's really bad for the Machamp. We're going to make an instant swap into Mantine. This time they decide to stay in. When a Pidgeot stays in like this, it's usually a good sign that they're going to throw the Feather Dance rather than Brave Bird, because they're going to debuff our attack and then switch. But where it takes Pidgeot like 5 gusts to get to Feather Dance or the Brave Bird, it's a bit of a hard one to call sometimes. You never know, they might just throw the Brave Bird and dip either way. But they did throw the Feather Dance. Unfortunately, we shielded it up, so it was a bad call on my end. They're bringing a Drapion, so we're going to go for the Bubble Beams just to debuff it. There's no way we're going to use another shield on the Mantine. So we should definitely survive this as we debuff them. And Crunch isn't that strong on the normal Drapion. The Shadow Drapion does a lot more damage. So we're able to get through another Bubble Beam before we make a swap into Machamp. Now the Drapion's been debuffed twice, and if they throw a Crunch, it's not going to do too much damage as we resist it. But obviously Shadow Machamp is pretty squishy as it is. They do get to another move, so I'm expecting this to be another Crunch. We're not going to shield it up, but it is actually an Aqua Tail, so that probably did about the same sort of amount of damage as a Crunch. And they quickly swap into Pidgeot, trying to snipe us and do a lot of damage. So we throw the Cross Chop, bait in the Rock Slide, a little bit of lag there, and then we throw another Cross Chop. Might have been able to get up to the next Rock Slide, but best to be safe. And then we do go down, so they must have got the Gust through there. So that's fine. We're going to come in now with the Perrserker. We're going to build up a lot of energy. Whatever they throw is going to be not very effective, but a Brave Bird would do a ton of damage. Unfortunately, they bait us again with the Feather Dance, which is awful. So we're counting up the Gusts, so that's 4, 5, and then we actually make a catch into Mantine. And once again, we're able to farm up as much energy as possible and just make that catch just to stall it off. And we're able to completely Shadow Claw down the normal type. They make a swap into Drapion. I think they were actually trying to do, again, a quick swap there. They brought in one Pokemon and then quickly swapped in the Drapion, but we weren't going to pull the trigger. And luckily we didn't, because it's actually a Wigglytuff in the back. So we're able to go for the double close combat, and we're going to be able to take the win. Another really insane game there, where the opponent was trying to swap out, but we were the ones that were able to make the sack swap, and we were the ones that took the win. So really fun game, and into the next one. I think this might be the last one. We've got Zweilous on the lead. So it's really, really good for the Machamp. Can't really ask for much better than that. They are staying in, which is really curious. So we're just going to commit a shield here and just farm down the whole way. Expecting they must not have the best answer for Machamp, or maybe they only have one counter to it in the back and they didn't want to swap straight into it. They do have the Stun Fist, so that's worked out absolutely perfect, because once again, we don't want the other 2 Pokemon to be matched up against this. So we're going to go to town with the Cross Chop spam here. So this is the thing, they put themselves in a much worse position staying in with the Zweilous, because we were able to just farm them down the whole way. We've pretty much taken out two Pokemon just with the Shadow Machamp, showing the absolute power of this thing. The Faux Goro going off. So they got Empoleon in the back, so their entire team couldn't handle Machamp. You can see why they stayed in with the Zweilous, and they back out. So I don't blame them. When you've got something like that, like a Shadow Machamp that beats your whole team, you really need to swap something out. We're going to the next one, which is a Macargo, so it's another really great lead for the Machamp. And they swap into a Dedenne, so really unexpected there. Wasn't sure what to do, so we actually go into the Perrserker, which isn't really the best call, because they're going to be resisting all of our moves. Oh, not the Shadow Claw, but luckily Dedenne is quite squishy, so we are able to do quite a lot of damage anyway. It put us in a weird spot, really, as we didn't want to go into the Mantine, otherwise it would have destroyed us, because we're 4 times weak to electric. So what we did was we thought we'd bring the Perrserker in, as the Perrserker's completely going to get destroyed by the Macargo. So at least this way we can just get this aligned and do some damage against something that wouldn't have absolutely eaten us. We are getting them quite low, so that's really good. Now we're going to let this go through. And then I think what we're going to do is bring in the Machamp and get a nice farm down. As they're resisting the counters, we can get a few more in. And they're bringing a Tropius, so really, really interesting. We're just going to go for the Rock Slide now. Expecting they'll probably let this go through, as Tropius is quite tanky. But they do actually shield it up, so that's not too bad. And then we make a swap into Mantine. So this is a pretty decent matchup, as we're going to be able to take these Leaf Blades really comfortably. Due to the flying type, and it's neutralising the weakness to grass that water has. And one Ice Beam is probably going to take them out, as they're double weak to ice. So what we do is we overfarm. We knew that a swap was coming, because if we hit him with the Ice Beam, it would have been game over. So we overfarmed, and a swap did come, and now we've got the double weak to water Macargo. So what we're going to do is we're just going to look to shield this up, and then farm them down the whole way, and then throw the Blizzard against the Tropius, and seal what would be a delicious win. So we throw the Ice Beam, it's going to be taking out the Tropius, and with that, that's going to be the end of the video. So if you watched all the way through, I really appreciate it, guys. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and I'll be bringing you some more juicy battles next time. Stay angry, trainers.